Welcome back to this latest episode of Japan's Top Business Interviews. My name is Greg Story. I'm the president of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training, and my special guest today is an old friend of mine, Naosuke Goto, who is the chairman of Goto Florists here in Tokyo. We are actually in his beautiful store in Roppongi, and I've taken my jacket off because it's getting very hot today in summer, and we've got a beautiful backdrop of a lot of lovely orchids here. And so actually you have flower shops in many of the top leading hotels in Japan as well as this location. And you are what generation of family member running the business?
I am actually the fourth generation.
Fourth generation.
Yes.
So started in Meiji, I guess.
Meiji 25th year of Meiji.
25th year of Meiji.
25th Meiji.
What's
yes.
that? That's
130
1993. 1893.
1893. Wow, that's
incredible.
131 years old.
In this location all the time?
Yeah. The
Wow.
same location.
Same
right
location since Meiji
exactly
period.
Where you're sitting.
We're exactly where I'm
Started
sitting
this-
right now.
Yeah.
That's
right
fantastic.
Now. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, give us a bit of your background, because in a lot of cases, in family businesses, the parents send the people who are going to be the successors to go and work somewhere else to get experience, and they bring them back into the business. But what happened with you? How did it work? You were born in the business, but how did it come to run the business?
Okay, I decided to take over my father's business when I was 19 years old.
Oh, okay.
Because I was having part-time job in the summertime at some of the branch stores of Goto Flower stores, and I thought it was fun. And I met a lot of customers who like Goto style, and they just gave us very lots of good positive comments, and I was so happy to receive those comments, and I really enjoy speaking to those people, and I just why not continuing this business, because it has been continuing for even that time about little less than 100 years or something. So why not? You know.
Why not? And so at 19, you would have been at Keio University at that time?
Keio High School, actually.
High school, Keio High School,
yeah.
right, okay. And then so you go to Keio University and you're working in the business at the same time, or?
Oh, I kept on working as a part-time guy, even after I went to university, but I have to, I can't skip classes too much. But so, I went to university and studied economics and, doing other things like I joined a judo club. So, and then some other time I just had a part-time job at my store. And then after graduation, my father gave me an opportunity to go abroad to work at some of the best flower stores in America and Europe. And I chose to go to Chicago first.
Why Chicago?
Because just, my father started his training career back in 90, I forgot, like a long time ago, in Chicago.
Oh.
So I just followed
So is it
my
a
father.
family tradition to send the succeeding generations to
No, really,
overseas,
it's
or?
not that big tradition to go to Chicago first or anything.
but to go overseas.
Yeah, to overseas, yes.
Wow, okay.
My father went there, yeah.
Okay,
So, I could start up with anywhere in the world. But, he had a nice connection with the flower stores in Chicago. So, I went to Chicago first.
Yeah.
Yes. Then I bought a used car and, drifting around in the country to have a working experience in big cities in the States, like in New York, Washington, D.C.
So working in flower businesses there?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that must be interesting for the Americans. This Japanese guy, young guy, turns up and he wants to work in the store. This is sort of very unusual for them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually.
But they welcomed you, though. They let you come.
Yeah,
aboard.
well, the Americans were so nice. Yes, they were so friendly, and
Yeah.
they taught me a lot of things. And, it was fun, and I enjoyed American life too. And I drove across the country after working in D.C. and U.S. and I drove across the country to the West and went to San Francisco, and I worked there too. So I was in the States for 2 years and 2.5 years maybe. Then I had an opportunity to go to France, and I was in Paris for let's say 9 months, 10 months. Yeah, I rented an apartment in Paris, and yeah, again, I had a working experience at some of the best flower stores in Paris that time. And living in Paris, I sometimes went to Germany or London, Frankfurt, London, Holland, Belgium, Italy, just to, look at good flower stores in Europe. Yeah.
I remember the first time I came to your store was back in 2001.
Yes.
I'd been in Osaka working down there for 4 years and moved back to Tokyo. And it was Christmas. And I came in here. The display was unbelievable.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
incredible. I thought, wow. I feel like I'm in New York or somewhere like this. It's so sophisticated. It was so beautiful. So I realized, this Goto flower company really knows what they're doing. So I was very, very impressed. I remember that. Never forget that. In fact, my wife and I were talking about that this morning, how we were just blown away by the sophistication of that display. It was incredible. So congratulations on what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
So in terms of, we're going to talk about leadership in this podcast. That's our theme. So at what point did you start taking on leadership roles in the business? Or in the businesses overseas as well? It could have been there as well.
Well, actually, I came back from U.S. 1989, I think. At that time, I remember I was 8 years old or something. Then I had to start taking leadership because I was supposed to be the president in the future, and I was already that time executive director of the company. So, yeah, that was the time. And, well, it was hard.
Well, yeah, I guess, your father's still in the business.
Yes.
That must, father, son, same business. He's been running it. You got your ideas from Europe and America, and you probably want to do a few things. That must have been a bit difficult to get that sort of coordination going between dad and son, I wonder.
My father actually took over the business from my grandpa.
Right.
And he did the same thing 40 years ago. So he knew that he shouldn't tell me what to do every day. So he just had kind of I kept very good distance from him.
Right. He gave you some freedom.
Yeah, right. Freedom. So it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
But
about the staff, though? Because
the
the staff
staff
have been
were,
used to dad
most of
leading
them are
it.
older than I am.
Young guy, older than you. Young guy
but
turns up.
Some guys are experienced. They had already had a working experience at Goto over 30 years, 40 years, and I really had to sometimes, give a negative comment.
Ooh.
I had to go hard on those people sometimes.
Right.
I didn't want to, but it was hard.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through those.
Goes through those things, yeah. So I guess, you've got in Japan, we have quite a strong hierarchy of age and stage in companies. And so, you might be the family, but you're still down here in terms of their senpai to you, their seniors to you, right?
Senpai is hard, yeah.
What other things did you find were quite challenging as a young, how old were you then? When you took over?
How old? 28.
28, right?
Yeah,
so
28, yes.
As a 28-year-old running now you're the fourth generation of the company, well-established firm from, Meiji period. What other things were challenging about being the leader at that time?
Challenge. Let's see. I didn't think it was so challenging myself, even if I had to challenge, but I really enjoy just changing things, because I have to, I see many things I have to change. The way the people designing in a store, because I see many different designs and top-notch designs in Europe and America, and came back, and I had some pictures, ideal pictures, good designs for Goto for next 10, 20 years at least. And I saw a big gap, and differences between what they were doing at the time and what I want them to do, the big difference. So
how do you how do you convince people, like that? Because they have pride, they've been doing this for a long time.
I
They have
didn't
pride,
even try to
confidence.
convince, but I started to work as a designer. At the same time, I was executive director.
Oh, okay.
And that's important.
Okay.
I mean, just telling them what to do and sit back and relax and telling them what to do. They don't do anything.
Yeah, they don't
Of course,
follow you.
right? They won't follow
They won't
what I
follow
say.
you, right? Yeah.
Right? So I was just wearing the same uniform
Right.
as other people, never wore tie that time, and just making flower arrangement and bouquets, and you know, working like I don't know. I came here like 6 o'clock in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and working until 12 at night.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, no day offs and things like that. I was young, so it was okay. I was, that's no problem.
Yeah.
Working, and show the determination, and also like I was showing them what the ideal Goto design and style is for next 10, 20 years. And and I really enjoy doing that.
And I guess too, they are professionals in flower design, and they can see the design is good or not good. I guess they can determine, this is modern, or this is something different.
Right, absolutely.
And also, I guess the clients too, because you're bringing something fresh, new to Tokyo or Japan, and the clients can also be impressed. And when they see the clients are impressed, I guess that gives more credibility to what you're trying to do. Is that how it worked?
Yes, but actually, when changing things, some people like it.
Some
But
clients
some other likes don't like it.
don't like it.
So that's what happened actually.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would say like, suppose we have 10 customers to simplify
Yep.
things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Had 10 customers. I think 3 customers didn't like my style, what I was directing to them. The same with employee, team members
Yeah, yeah,
that time,
yeah.
3 members didn't like it. 3 out of 10 didn't like it. Yeah, but
So what do you do? You just keep pushing and
keep pushing
working?
because I was a responsible guy. I just have to do it.
They stayed with the company. They didn't
Yeah.
quit. They stuck it out
They didn't quit, but they were complaining.
or complaining.
But about the flower design, you can't go in between. You can't compromise. You have to change the. Once I decided to change the style, I have to do it
Yeah.
all the way.
Everyone.
And I can't go in the middle. It won't stand when it comes to flower design. So I really had to do it. Yeah, I don't like to give hard time to other people, especially when it comes to the design matter. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of preference. That's the design. But the Goto has to have a definite design policies as well, just to change things. So but I tried to change design. I challenged to change design drastically at that time. But other things they were buying top quality flowers from the market. That's important because if you don't do that, the customers buy flowers at Goto, then bring them back home and die next day. Right? So they can't trust us anymore. So the quality of flowers are very important. Good color, good shape, and fresh and long lasting. The best quality flowers in the market has to be in Goto. And they were doing that already. So, I didn't have to say anything about that, even if I went to the market to buy flowers early in the morning. But also had to change the choice of the flowers, though. Not the quality of the flowers, the choice, because it has a lot to do with the new style design. And so, I just didn't turn down everything they were doing. The old guys are doing.
And so when you're trying to make a change like that, and you're demonstrating yourself, you're producing the designs, you get some clients they prefer maybe the previous style, other clients like it. I guess, did you gradually win them over, or they were resisting right till they retired?
let's go gradually. Yeah,
Gradually,
maybe, I
they
think
gradually got with it.
yes.
They gradually said, okay, we're going to go to the new design.
Yeah, right.
How long did that take?
2 years.
2 years. Well, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. Actually,
Yeah.
2 years. I'm
2
surprised.
years, 2
I thought you
years.
were going to say more like 10 years, but that's not
no,
bad.
No. 2
That's
years.
not bad. 2
yeah,
years.
I can't.
2 years.
Yeah, we could. That's 10 years taking too much time.
Two time, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of, getting people in the company engaged, like you're trying to, you've got some who want to stick with the old designs, you've got others who are more flexible. Just thinking about your history as a leader in the company all this time, what things have you found works well to get people engaged? Because you've got people working on the shops selling, you've got people designing, you've got people probably buying, you've probably got different facets of the company. There's different roles, I guess, in the company, but you've got to get them all behind the direction, behind you as a leader. What things did you find that worked well to get people engaged in the business?
Well, I did everything first of all.
Right. Okay.
First 10, 12 years after I came back, I really have to experience everything myself. Otherwise, I can't take any leadership. That's what I thought. Just reading books and, learning about the leadership is not good enough. So I started to first, of course, I was making the flower arrangement as a designer. At the same time, I went to the market to buy flowers and display flowers in the store. And, then I was a delivery guy as well,
Delivering flowers.
Yeah,
as well,
delivering
yeah.
flowers is very important. It's very good, important service for flower stores like us because we have to be punctual in delivering flowers. And when we deliver flowers, just hand flower arrangement to the customers, recipient of the flowers, we have to sometimes explain. Have to take care of it or about the designs sometimes, So just that delivery person is very important to keep up the very good.
So not
good
just
quality
transporting.
it's
more
it's
than
not
that.
just a high person, And I just have to direct that to our truck guys. So I was the driver myself too, and we have some team downstairs, not in the store but downstairs, who specializes in taking orders on the phone, and emails, and consulting, and giving advice to the customers when they want to just order flowers. And we have 7-8 people specializes in those too. And I was working there too, and I really had to do the accounting too. Negotiating with the banks to borrow money. So I just actually did everything in 10, 12 years.
So that's you leading from a practitioner point of view.
First step.
Yeah, you're doing it all. So how did that help you to get people to follow you, to engage them, to follow your direction?
Well, I just have to prove, first of all, to the people I can do anything. Sometimes I made a mistake, but most of the time I do the right things. And then
when you made a mistake, how did you handle that?
Yeah, just reflecting it and apologize and just have to just admit that I made a mistake. Even if I'm a boss, I'm a human, so I made an error. And even to my the team members, even if I'm a boss, I have to apologize. I have to say sorry. Sometimes I have to go see the customers to apologize. I did a lot, actually. Yeah, of course I apologize, say sorry when my the staff made mistakes as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's important.
Yeah.
But challenging new things, normally you just have to take a risk of making mistakes. So, so that's sure.
Well, sometimes, with bosses, they have a lot of ego attached to their status. I'm the president, I'm the, division head. And they don't want to admit, they don't want to, that they made a mistake. They think somehow that compromises their credibility as the leader, and therefore they try and hide it or ignore it or deny it. So someone as a leader to admit, okay, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, that shows, I think, a lot of credibility, you are showing some vulnerability too to the team, that you're not Mr. Perfect. None of us are perfect, but not every leader can do that. You know, I've worked for plenty of bosses who made mistakes
right?
and never
Okay.
admitted anything.
Yeah.
You know, so well done. That was good.
Yeah, well, in that point, yes,
Yes.
I was okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what about? Did you do things like I don't know in those days? Maybe not so much today, but in those days, many Japanese organizations that go on a company holiday together and go to onsen or go on a travel somewhere or maybe even go overseas or something. You know, in those old days, the sort of Keisha Ryoko, that sort of company
Keisha Ryoko,
trips.
company
the
trips,
trip,
yes.
that used to be a thing.
Uh-huh.
Probably not so much anymore. I don't know that young people are that interested in going on the company trip. But in that era, when you sort of took over, was that a part of the Goto methodology of leadership?
We didn't have that style at all.
Because you're running 7 days a
My
week.
father,
I guess.
actually,
Yeah.
the former president, he didn't like that style at all because he worked in the States for 4 years when he was young.
Yep.
And he was a bit Americanized.
Okay.
So, privacy is privacy.
Right.
That's
okay.
what was his policy.
Right.
And
right.
also, I went to the United States, Europe, and just came back. And I think, I had the same kind of feeling, the way of thinking as well. So this company trip is like something just killing the people's private time. They had to spend their private time with their bosses, maybe sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if they like bosses, they just have to be a little bit nervous. They can't just sit back.
Can't
and
relax, right?
Yeah, right.
The boss is still there.
I mean, some people I know, some Japanese people like it.
Yeah.
And that helps Japanese, team members just tied up together mentally and cooperate with each other because they have an opportunity to know each other better that way, maybe. But they go after work. They just together go drinking sake and having drinking party, even if just the company don't tell them to do, and that's good enough.
Good enough, yeah.
Good enough, I think.
And did you do that too? Did you go out and have drinks with people or have lunches or whatever? Did you?
I did sometimes,
You did?
yes. Yeah, not every day. Though.
Not every day. Well, yeah.
It's not a good thing to do every day.
No, every day is
but
probably
just
too much.
maybe, yes.
Occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally. Yeah.
And in terms of, you talked before about you came back from Europe, you had some ideas and you started to direct the ideas, in 2 years you started to change the look, set the direction for the next 10, 15 years. So you're also doing everything, you're demonstrating, I know how to buy the flowers, I know how to deliver them, I know how to design them, I know how to do the accounting, I know how to take the orders, I know how to do everything around here.
Yeah.
I can do every job. I know every job.
Yeah.
So that shows a lot of credibility, obviously, the team. But apart from that, what other things have you found have worked well to build trust with your team members?
That's a difficult question.
Why is that a difficult question?
Well, I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, well, it's just the good thing was like work on top of working together with them there and I was like I did many new things, and I think the employees that time really enjoyed it because new things happens here, and I think that was big. For example, Goto Flower Shop had never employed foreign designers before my time. But sometime like I forgot. Let's see, that was like 1993 or 4 for the first time in Goto history. I hired foreign designer who was a Dutch guy who's still here though.
Still here today.
Still is Mr. Hastam. He's the first foreign designer working in Goto. And then after that, I hired another Dutch guy, and then French guy, Swiss lady, the female designer. And sometimes one time we had like 5 foreign designers.
Wow.
Working together with Japanese designers.
To be the only major florist business in Japan with that, I imagine. That would have been very unique in the industry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were giving demonstration at my branch store in department store, branch store at department stores and hotels, and not only here, they had stores, and the French guy can provide like a French style,
Yep. 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 Yep.
and Japanese, ladies, female customers love it, maybe. Including just watching his appearance.
Cool
Yeah,
looking,
cool
French designer.
French guy speaking French.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were not even looking at the flowers. Maybe they're looking at the guys. But that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the German designers, Dutch designers, Swiss designers. I didn't have American designer. I don't know because I had to pay a lot maybe to American designers maybe. But the European designers did a very good job in adding more customers for Goto that time in the 90s.
And I guess also, you talked before about you came back from Europe, America, and you were designing flowers, you were showing the direction. And I guess when you have, additional designers from outside Japan also demonstrating the design, it helps, I guess, for the designers to see, oh, okay, I wouldn't think of doing that or combining that like that or arranging like that.
Absolutely.
That's stimulating, I think, as a professional
Right.
in design, right?
You're right.
You see another possibility. Yeah.
So, at that time, Japanese designers could learn a lot. They can steal the ideas, no problem, and learn a lot as a designer. And that was like, that could motivate our Goto designer at that time. Not only the fact that I was working together with those guys, working hard and, doing a lot of things, but, the big thing was I gave them an opportunity to work with foreign designers, and the different skills, different perspectives.
So that's very motivating, I guess.
Yeah, right. That's motivating.
What other things did you find? Like, with trust,
Yeah,
you say something and you do the same thing, as opposed to you say something and you do something
well, that's
different.
important.
That's sort of being consistent.
That's very hard, but
consistency,
because
right?
sometimes I forget what I said and do different things, and it happens to you do that sometimes too, right?
Oh, I never do that.
My wife said, my wife gives me a hard time for that.
She does. Your wife reminds you.
My wife. She's the one who gives me a hard time all the time. But anyway. Well, yeah, but that's
Did
about it.
you ever send your Japanese designers outside as well?
I wanted to do that, but we were too busy to do that.
Oh,
We
really?
didn't have
Wow.
any extra people to spare that
Right.
project.
Right.
And I was still thinking, I wish I could do that. But still,
Well, it's good that you're busy. I mean, if the business is
Yeah,
busy, that's
actually,
great.
we have to be very productive and efficient. So we didn't have, well, it's wonderful if we can do that. But, we're very busy. We're very labor intensive. So, the flower stores, labor intensive. So very busy.
And I guess in the industry too, you've been around. I don't know if are you the longest running, continuously running flower shop in Japan?
We don't have an evidence
You don't have what?
to prove that.
Right.
But maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, at least I can say one of the
oldest, right?
Western style flower business existing in Japan. I could say.
So I think in Japan, longevity, many years in the business is respected, and people who work many years in a profession are respected as masters of their art or artisans with a, great skill. And you often see that in media in Japan, how, age and stage is respected. And so I'm sure that for the workers here, they see the longevity of the company, they see the generations coming through, they see the continuity. I'm guessing that adds a lot of feeling of respect for the business. They feel pride too, because in the flower industry, you are very unique, or, probably in Tokyo particularly, you're bringing Western designs, your father was overseas, you were overseas. That's not usual.
You know what's so unique about this flower store is this is a big flower store. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I travel around in the world, And I was working in France and Europe and America, and like in big cities, rent are very expensive in the
Yes.
central part of the city.
Yeah.
So in those big cities, New York, DC, San Francisco, London, wherever you go in the big cities, you never see this huge flower store located in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
But,
You're here.
so that's very unique.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you do have a very large, and I guess you own this building too, right? This is your own building.
Yeah, I own the building.
Own the building,
Otherwise,
right?
I can do it.
Well,
I
that's
own
right.
the
Yeah.
property. Then
You own the
that
building,
makes me
so,
do
yeah.
that.
Which again is unique. I mean, you own the actual property itself, so that's good too. If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Are you doing business with Japan? Do you really know how things work? Japan Business Mastery provides the answers. Do you have the right networks and know how to create them? Do you know how to get on the same wavelength with Japanese buyers? Do you know what being trustworthy looks like from the Japanese perspective? Japan Business Mastery is based on more than 30 years' experience in Japan and will become your go-to guide. Want to succeed in Japan? Buy Japan Business Mastery now. You talked before about, you made mistakes and you apologize, etc. But one part of trust is how, as the leader, we handle the mistakes on the part of others. So what's your thinking about dealing with people's, your staff's mistakes? How do you handle that?
Okay. Well, first, when the team members or our staff make big mistakes, you know what happened? We get a complaint from the customer.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Okay, well, before speaking to our staff, the bosses, and including myself, has to rush to the clients right away. No, we don't just sit and think, just go right away.
Immediately.
And then we have to listen to. Doesn't matter what the complaining is right or wrong. Doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong. But we go there immediately and listen to what they say. And then just come right back and just have to do it. If, for example, they don't like our design, maybe, even if it's a matter of taste. So maybe we're not wrong, maybe, but we just replace the arrangement. If the same customer repeat that thing for 3 times, maybe we have to think about the different way of coping with that customer. But,
Maybe the communication with the customer is not working well.
Right. But anyway, well, we sometimes say, this is very peculiar to Japan, Japanese florists. We have a name card. The name of the sender is written on a plate, plate like this, plate, and it's stuck on the arrangement like this.
Oh, in the flower arrangement itself.
Yeah. You never seen that in Europe or America.
No.
But we sometimes made a mistake in writing
in
kanji.
the kanji,
yeah, that's a very frequent mistake we make. And then we have to, 間違えました、すいません, we have to. And just showing that action, to the employee is very important. We really the customer number one. We really think first about the customers.
And what about the person who didn't get the kanji right? They wrote the wrong kanji or they made a mistake. What do you say to that person?
Okay, you made a mistake. I make a mistake sometimes, so it's all right, but it's not all right for the customer.
No.
So please do your best. Be careful. And that's all we can do. It's a human work. Even if we use a computer,
You still got to input.
Input, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and Japanese
AI can't do it.
Japanese names are quite difficult sometimes because of the kanji and the sound, and there's different kanji for that sound, and often the computers will suggest the wrong one or something, And what about in terms of when you're asking people to change their design concepts to something new? So you're asking them to step out of their comfort zone, step out of their habit, step out of their safety zone to try something new. And sometimes I'm guessing, maybe the work's not quite good enough. They can't quite get it yet, or the creativity part's not quite there yet. The quality's not quite there yet. They're trying, but it's not quite there yet. So how do you deal with that?
I just have to select the designers who can quickly copy new style or learn, not a copy, but learn a new style, and do what the company want them to do. And those people, I put those people in very high position in the design team.
Right.
And that's a good job. They say just push their backs. And some other people who are having hard time flexibly following the new design style, we just have we never give them hard time. We just have to little more patience, and that's it. We have to tell them we know that you're trying hard, frustrated, but see, look at this guy doing or this girl doing. This is our style, right? So just please learn new style.
That's a good point. A good point, because if you can't do it yourself, and you think, oh look, this is unreasonable, or this is not fair, or I don't know why I have to change what I'm doing. But when your colleagues can do it, then what's your excuse? So that's a nice way of showing, well, you may not be doing it, but look, they're doing it, so you should be able to do it too. Work a bit harder. So that's interesting. And what about delegation too? Because, I'm sure, you're down the flower market, you're driving the truck, you're doing the designs, you're downstairs doing the accounting, you're taking the orders. You've got to delegate to people around you because you cannot physically be everywhere exactly the same time.
Absolutely.
So what have you found worked well in terms of delegating to other people? Because often, in a lot of leadership cases, middle managers, they're scared to delegate. They try to control all the work. They worry about the quality. They worry, and particularly Japan, if there's a defect or if there's a mistake, they worry they're going to get criticized. So they don't have enough trust to give the job to somebody else to delegate. So how do you think about delegation as a leader?
I think that's my personality. I just, I don't know, from the very first step, right after I came back from the United States or Europe, I came back from training, it was okay, I was able to trust, the I don't know, the leaders in each sections. And even if I was just, making a delivery, I can watch other people. I was okay, there's no problem. Sometimes, yes, they make mistakes and they have a lot of problems, but I can come back and I didn't have to drive all day, you know what I mean? Maybe even if I was in a truck for 7 hours, they just came back. I was putting on more hours in a day.
You're finishing at midnight, so you still had
I came back and
tons
of time to observe what happened. And, I can speak to my guys. We had like only 70, 80 employees. I can do that, no problem.
How many did you have? How many people?
70,
70,
80
people.
Yeah. If I had like more than 500 employees, it's a different story.
Different story.
70 people, no problem.
No problem.
No problem. I was everywhere. I knew the name, the character, personality, every single employee, no problem. And I just came back and, speak to them and find out the problems, and speaking to them on how to cope with it.
One of the things that often, the reason that delegation fails, and it's happened to me too as an employee, the boss comes along and they just drop the job on you. Boom. I want you to do this. You know? And that's it, you know, like, and then they leave. And you get no direction or no understanding, and just boom, do this, and then they disappear, you know. And it's not the best way to delegate. I mean, we teach leadership, right? So what we're teaching is saying to people, the key part of delegation is to sell the delegation to the delegatee. What's in it for them? Why that ability to do that task helps them build their career. Sell that to them. And so that part often in leadership, in delegation, is missing. The selling part doesn't happen. It's just like, here's the job, do it, end. Have you found, were you selling the delegation to people? Were you able to show them how, by doing this part of the job that normally you would do, that's helping them to build their capacity, build their expertise, build their experience? Did that ever work for you, or you just gave them the job? How did you do it?
Oh, it all depends, I think. Some middle management people, I just give them a job or the whole project, boom.
Boom.
There's no problem. But other people had a problem with that.
Yeah.
So I really have to, tell them what to do, and just give them some data and sometimes statistics, or I would just help out sometimes. Coming after them to help out. It all depends. I have to be very flexible. We have to do both ways. You know. Yeah.
So you're really observing it person by person where the
person by person
requirement is. Yeah? That's a good point. And I mean, your family business, 4 generations, you become the 4th generation. Very long history, very innovative. I don't know, did your grandfather also go overseas when he was young, like your father, or your father was the first one?
My father was the first one who went abroad to have a training experience.
Right.
Yes.
So that creates a different type of culture in the company, because he's seen outside of Japan. We often talk about Japan being this like Galapagos Island, sort of stuck in this isolation, but he's bringing in the outside stimulation, the next generation to go overseas. You're bringing it in too. So you're creating a different type of culture in the business, I guess. So what are your thoughts about, my father's been running the business. He's created his version of the Goto family culture in flower arrangement and the business. Now, I'm taking over. I'm going to create my version of the culture. Did you think like that, or just the culture evolved and became what it is, or did you try and have a thought about what sort of culture I want to create in the company? How did you think about building a culture in the business?
I think, as I told you before, I had a working experience as a part-time person when I was in high school and also in university. I think I put myself in the middle of my father's Goto Florists culture. And I think I knew it, I felt it. And I kind of liked it. So I was kind of, the basic fundamentals of Goto culture, didn't want to change. I just want to take over it.
So how would you describe the fundamentals of Goto culture?
Oh, gorgeous best flowers, healthy, big, long-lasting flowers that the customer just at a glance, show the reaction like, oh, wow, great flowers, never seen anywhere else. Or good music, or just the Western atmosphere, or you know what I mean? The gorgeous Roppongi atmosphere and things like that. You know what I mean? The bubbly in Japanese. I kind of liked it. And not too modern though. Not too contemporary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Authentic is not a contemporary. That's what I feel.
Authentic is not
contemporary.
Okay.
No. It's something very different.
Too advanced for the market or the consumer, or why?
For the consumer, I think. I always think what the consumer thinks, feels, and just going to contemporary, high style is not a good idea. For Goto, long-term customers.
Mm-hmm.
And I myself didn't like going to contemporary either, even if we have to be innovative in a way. But being innovative is in a different way is very important. In having foreign designers and doing different things. And some of their works is come very contemporary. That's fine. You know what I mean? But overall, we can go to cockish. You know what I mean? Snobbish. See?
Yeah.
We have to be a kind of traditional
Yeah.
Western style flower stores. That's Goto style actually.
Right.
And yeah.
And if I'm a young person joining the company, I may not be a flower designer. I might be over there behind the counter, taking the money or taking the order
Taking money, yes.
or whatever I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
Or I might be delivering the flowers in the truck or whatever I'm doing. When people join, how do you explain the culture of the company? How do you get them into the culture of the company? How do you get them to join in and be part of that? Do you have a particular program for that, or how does that work?
We have little lecture time, the classroom lecture, probably twice a year. Yeah,
okay.
Just gathering employees. But we are labor-intensive industry, and we don't have enough time to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe twice a year, maybe just 2 days, maybe 2 days a year, maybe. We have lecture time. We just discuss and talk about the Goto style. Even if the conclusion came out a week about the definition of Goto style, that's fine. We just have a time to sit back and relax and talk to each other to figure out what the Goto style. And some people know it, some employees know it, some others maybe. But we continue to do that.
Now, how about building the pride? Because you're the fourth generation. It's been going since Meiji period, so it's got that established thing. But someone coming in, how do you get them to feel that real, wow, I'm working for the most, wonderful, most well-established flower company in Japan. I'm part of the elite of the flower industry. Do you have something in the onboarding, or how do you get people to feel that?
About that, last thing you should do is just telling the employee or compelling the employees to have a Goto pride. That's the last thing. Never work. Never help.
Okay.
Probably we have to give them an opportunity to naturally feel it and learn it. And have an opportunity for them to just get themselves into Goto culture. And in order for us to do is, let's see. The best way will be just senpai employees, and not only designers but senpai florists doing just showing the good job. And their customers and clients come into the store and speaking to them and showing, the pleasure, they are so happy about what they got. Even if I was, the price of Goto flower arrangement is expensive, takai, they're showing appreciations and they were so, wow, that was great. And Sasuga Goto-san, whatever. And they just repeatedly show those to a new employees, and then we'll start to learn what's the magic. It's a skill, a quality of the flowers, a uniform, or atmosphere, whatever. And that's the best.
Do they? Do you teach everyone design? Do you actually let them try to design things themselves, get the hands-on, or that's only designers do that? So, for example, if I'm serving,
yes, I used to teach.
If I'm serving, would I get taught about design? Would I get some insight into that? If I'm serving, if I'm taking the money and serving.
Oh, I see.
I'm not a designer. I'm working as staff here, and maybe I'm taking the money or I'm organizing things. But would I get some?
We teach, basic things. Yes, of course,
okay,
of course.
Right, for everybody.
Yeah, but not for the long time though.
No.
It's not too complicated to work in a flower store. They can learn quickly in about 4 weeks, I think.
And there seems to be a lot of women in flower shops.
Same thing everywhere.
When I go, it's
In-
mainly women in the business, so it seems to be very favoured by
90%
women. Yeah,
90%.
90% women.
Yes, a few
Does
boys. guys.
I mean, you're a guy, I'm a guy. Does that create some additional advantages as a leader or
It's
challenges?
kind of hard to give a comment on those
Yeah.
these days, LGBT, whatever.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, actually, to tell the truth, sometimes it's difficult. Yes.
Yeah.
Good things about having women. Many of them, they are so endure physically. You know, see, they're showing great endurance.
All right, because they're
Physical.
standing all day long
Standing always for
on a hard surface. Yeah.
No problem.
Mm.
The guys they get tired physically so easy.
Really?
I don't know why. Maybe just the muscular guys or just athlete guy don't come, work with
In
us.
the
Maybe
flowers.
yeah, like the guys working in the flower stores, like they like to be the artist.
Yeah.
So sometimes they are not very logical or not very physically strong or don't have muscles maybe.
Yeah.
There's some exceptions as well. But
Yeah.
the women, even if they don't have muscles, I don't know, this different biological feature, I think, they're so tough.
Tough.
That's good
Yeah.
in this labor-intensive
Industry. Yeah.
work.
Mm.
But
Because a lot of you're
ne-
working with your hands all day and you're standing all day. I mean, that's
right.
tiring.
That's hard for
Yeah.
women, especially. They
Yeah.
just ruining their beautiful hands and skin. Sometimes they get a lot of small cuts and things like that. But they like doing flowers, so that's not a problem for them. That's what I think. The negative aspect maybe for having too many women in a company or in a team is like. Once they just don't get along with each other, it's hard for them to fix the relationship. It takes them so long, or maybe sometimes never successful to fix the relationships once they break. You know what I mean? They get into fight or they don't like each other, and that's how they recognize mutual each other. Then they just things get very hard. Then they can communicate and just leads to some kind of company problems. They make mistakes by miscommunications.
So what do? You got two staff members. I mean, this can happen with guys.
I can't
with
do
women.
anything. Just two women fighting, I can't do anything.
Can't do anything.
Yeah, you
They
can
gotta
be
sort it out.
Yeah, you can be a referee. They're not boxing sports or anything like that. It's I have to beg. Please 仲良くしてください. They stop it so hard. They don't say sorry easily. The guys sometimes they give, even if they get into a fight or they have different perspectives or they don't like each other, maybe they just can't handle it.
Move on.
As a team, move on. Yeah, as a team person, but the guys can do that. I think easy. The women.
Interesting. Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, it's I guess also because you've got 90% women. Now this is a good question. Are a lot of the leaders also women, or are the leaders are mainly guys? How does that work here?
The leaders and women.
Well, Japan's trying to have more women leaders, right? The companies are being
trying
set
to, yes.
targets.
Yeah, we have a lot of
30% of the
female
leaders should be women was a government target, which they failed to meet.
Yeah.
Completely failed to meet it. But here, I guess, if you've got 90% of the staff are women, a lot of the leaders, I'm guessing,
Yes,
are
actually,
women.
yes.
Are women, right?
I don't see any problems.
No problems, yeah?
No.
Yeah. So, you've got more diversity here, I guess.
Diversity, yes.
Than a lot of other...
Well, maybe too many women, I think.
Maybe too many women.
The opposite.
You actually got the opposite problem. You like a few more guys.
I don't
to
say
balance
that's
it
a
out.
problem, but it's just, we need a little more balance, actually. But recruiting the guys, they don't come,
It's harder. If you're going to give some advice to someone who's being sent to Japan by their organization to run a business in Japan, what would be some advice you'd give them?
Learning things in Japan. They're working.
They're based overseas. like, me, for example. So, okay, Greg,
Okay,
you're
the
going to
people from
Tokyo.
overseas.
You go to Tokyo. You're going to run our Japan operation. Get on the plane and go. That type of person. They don't know
As a
Japan.
leader.
Yeah,
Leader.
as the president, as a leader. They don't know
Okay.
Japan. They don't speak Japanese. They got very little background. What advice would you give them to be successful as a leader here?
Very difficult question. I think maybe, as you know, Japanese people or the members, I think, employees, some is very emotional, I think. You know
That's
what
not
I
what
mean?
people think, though, by the way. When we think about Japanese people as a foreigner, because, you get the sort of poker face Japanese,
Very-
never show the samurai, never show the emotion type of image is very strong
I mean
in the West.
Japanese people, I would say, I don't know. Let's see. Even if the boss is like logically, for example, telling the guys to just suppose a Japanese person did the wrong thing, then the foreign boss came up, gaijin boss came up, yeah, and logically explain what's wrong with the person did, and the guy gets very emotional because Japanese people just kind of like don't like to debate or just I don't know, they don't like logic sometimes or rational perspectives and things like that. We not Japanese people, most of them, they're not used to those kind of things, like rational discussions and rational debate, logic, or being logical, or just speaking with statistics and figures like that. You know what I mean? And the foreign bosses sometimes came out too logical at the first step. And then just the miscommunication happens. And then Japanese people, you said Japanese are not showing emotion, but inside they are very, very emotional.
Well, I think they're emotional too. I was surprised. I always had this image of Japanese as very unemotional, and yet, as you get to know Japan, you realize, oh wow, Japanese are really emotional. And it comes out in the business. But so they should. What should they do then? If they,
the point is,
how should they approach that?
The point is, that maybe gaijin bosses just came out and they just, acting like a cool guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like do this because that, and he's just coming up with logics, even if it's what he's saying is right, the boss is saying right. But before do that, maybe. Just kind of like the boss should make the guy who made a mistake just kind of relax. You know what I mean? Just to look at his emotion, his or her emotional aspect in the situation that time. That's important, I think. And then just he will just turn on and listen. He or she will turn on and listen to the boss, I think.
So presume that they're more emotional than you imagine.
Yeah.
And start from that point rather than the logical point.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I think.
That's what I got. What else? What other advice would you give the foreign leader sent to Japan to run the organization? What else should they be thinking about?
What's the problem with the Japanese people? Just when they deal with the foreigners, they can't argue anything. You know what I mean?
They're not good in debate.
Yeah. Especially, maybe they can debate with other Japanese.
Okay, right.
But they can't debate with foreigners, especially Caucasians.
Okay, well, here's the question.
Yeah,
Why is that?
Caucasian? Yeah. I don't know. It's been like that 100 years. The same situation here in Japan. I have no idea why. Nobody, even the president and Prime Minister Kishida-san cannot answer that question. Maybe he's like that too, just looking at G7.
Being nice to everyone.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So in other words, as a leader sent here, don't expect that you're going to have debates with your subordinates like you would in maybe in America or overseas. You don't expect it's going to go like that.
Sometimes they just kind of, they don't come up to, even if the Japanese employees find some problems with the gaijin boss doing, they never tell.
Yeah, well, I know that.
They don't want to debate
Yeah,
with.
I know that. I mean, I keep making the same mistakes in Japanese language, and I know that. And I tell my team, hey, listen, if I make a mistake in Japanese, just let me know and I'll fix that. No one ever volunteers to tell the boss that your Japanese is wrong. No one is going to give you the feedback.
Don't take me wrong, but it's not like Japanese people don't like foreign bosses or foreign employees or foreign colleagues or anything like that. Japanese, I don't know why I'm like that. Just, and it's okay for Japanese to, debate with other Asian people. That's no problem. Chinese, Korean, no problem. But maybe French, Dutch, Italian, American, Australians, it's a different story.
Interesting.
White people.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Interesting.
I don't know.
What other things would you tell someone being sent to Japan on what they should think about to be successful here as a leader?
Again, don't hesitate to work with the statistics and figures. Japanese people, not too many people. They just bring in and make use of those, like the figures, numbers, statistics, and logics. So just the biggest role maybe the gaijin bosses can play with Japanese people is to bring in those things.
Oh, to bring the
work with numbers.
Right.
I'm not talking about the flowers industry, but
we're talking leadership in general now.
I'm talking general.
In general terms, yeah.
That's how the gaijin bosses can I don't know, they get the whole team going high up, you know what I mean? Better performance.
Yeah. Should they learn Japanese?
Not necessary.
Not necessary. Okay, why is that?
No, because gaijins can't speak Japanese. Now
I can speak Japanese.
Yeah, you're very fluent in Japanese, but
I can speak it.
Yeah,
it's possible.
No problem at all. But Japanese people don't accept gaijins aren't to speak.
They don't have the expectation. Yeah.
Yeah, don't. They don't care. That's not the point. Yeah, and sometimes that's gaijin bosses can speak fluent Japanese right after they landed in Japan from somewhere else.
That'd be very few. It'd be too much.
They're gonna be scared.
Scare them.
Yeah,
okay, right.
That's
Scare
gonna
the
be
staff.
a very negative influences to the people. I think Japanese people. I think.
Why would they be scared? I mean, in any other country in the world, if the new boss turned up, say for example, we'll just pick a country. We'll just say Germany, right? And I'm not German, so maybe I can't even make this work. But someone turns up from overseas to run the operation in Germany, and they speak in fluent German. I don't know that too many German people in the audience would be scared of that. They would think, "Oh, that's good. I can understand everything this person's saying. Excellent, makes my life easier." Why would Japanese be scared of a foreigner coming into the job and speaking fluent Japanese? What would be scaring them about that?
I don't know. I'm not like that. But just observing other Japanese people who've never been abroad.
Yeah.
They are like that. I don't know.
Is it because they think that maybe the language is a type of protective barrier? And then if the barrier's gone,
I don't
no
know.
protection.
I don't want to say that, but could be. And Japanese people they tend to think that not only Japanese language, but Japanese way of life, Japanese way of thinking, and the customs and everything is very different and unique, and something that rest of the world will never have. Or something like we just had that kind of feeling. And then all of a sudden, gaijin-san just came up and speak perfect fluent Japanese, who like we think like, oh wow, some monster came. I'm sorry, monster. Obake.
But I know what you mean. I have had that experience that a certain generation of Japanese, when you're speaking in Japanese, you realize they're not that comfortable with it. They don't feel relaxed with this. I never understood why, but I could sense there was discomfort. And you sort of think that, oh, I'm speaking in Japanese, this should be easy to communicate, but they don't feel necessarily comfortable with it. But what's your definition of leadership? Yeah, check your notes. Go right ahead.
Yeah,
you've been doing some homework.
That's most difficult question.
No, you've been doing some work on this interview.
Yes, the leadership is to arrange the best comfortable environment for the team members to think for themselves, I think.
Okay.
And then the most important think themselves, the most important role they should play for the sake of achieving the team's best goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just arranging the environment for the people to think for themselves instead of just telling what to do.
Well, Goto-san, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's been a very fascinating interview, and I encourage everyone to come to Roppongi, come to the main store here in Roppongi, to Goto Florists, and also you'll find them in all the top hotels throughout Japan. So please see what Goto-san's talking about with his designs, and thank you very much today. Appreciate
Thank you
your
so
comments.
much. I enjoyed talking.
I enjoyed it too. So join us again for our next episode of Japan's top business interviews.